Work smarter, not harder. Easier said than done, especially when creative tasks like brainstorming products are concerned. Today, we're going to be brainstorming a new product idea for BKB, and we want to take you along for the ride with us. Along the way, we'll talk about tips for productive brainstorming. So let's get started. Our amazing videographer, who showed up in a stunning outfit, by the way, has written a prompt to challenge us on the whiteboard, and we'll have 30 minutes to create a product for it.
And turn.
Turn?
Yep.
Make an accessory to help riders cross small bodies of
Water.
what? We can do this. We can do this. This is easy. You have to be able to float. Ooh, you actually don't need to float.
The prompt being a problem is no coincidence. The first thing to consider when brainstorming is to focus on solving a problem or improving a person's experience doing a given task. Think about what issues your customers are having and how your product can help alleviate those problems. Ask yourself, is what I'm making solving a headache or a migraine? A headache is something people might buy, but a migraine is something people will need to buy and will pay a premium for.
Can I ask a question about the prompt or no?
Yeah.
Is when you say small body, you mean like a puddle or you mean like a lake?
Some streams, lakes, ponds. You could assume that the board's waterproof without having to make a different thing. But that's up to you guys, how much of a challenge.
We're going to assume the board's fine.
It's pretty much waterproofed already. You put some Flex Seal on it, you're set.
So what would you do? I know how to mechanically make this, electronically make this, but what would you do to make it look cool, or be cool?
I place an emphasis on creating something unique. Don't just copy what everybody else is doing. Try to come up with something new and exciting.
I was thinking some sort of mud flap or some sort of tire protector to go over the ATs.
We're making an accessory, so I'm thinking you take the wheels off. And then you put some propellers on the motor so that the board goes under the water and you're holding on to the board. And then the board pulls you through. That's what we want to do. Do we want to float underneath the water? Do we want to float on top of the water? Or do we want to go on the bottom? That's the thing. I also love how I asked you how you would make it cool or like fun. And your answer was mud flaps.
Mud flaps are pretty cool. How I'd make it fun? I mean, if I were to really make it fun, the first thing I would do
so fun.
is put some sort of contraption on the bottom where you could attach a sled to it. Or like something that pops out, and that way it would kind of skid you across the top of the water if you had enough speed.
Why don't we draw out both options and then we can kind of like price it out and then see what it would be.
Okay.
So you can you can do the one on the top where you skid, and then I'll do the submersible one.
Okay.
We'll think it through.
Okay, so mine is going on top of the water, yours is going underneath the water.
Yes, correct.
With the goal of solving a problem in mind, I tend to focus on the form and function of a solution. This is equally as important as focusing on improving experiences as it is when technical aspects of a product come together. During this stage, you should definitely consider costs. You don't want to create something that is too expensive for your target audience. Focus on the cost throughout the entire process, from ideation to production.
Yeah, provides a little bit more of a setup beforehand. So you know those mud tires? You know those mud tires that have like a little bit of an extra tread on them? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking if you're running those and you just have some sort of extra protective layer, like sort of have cars have like undershields, that would be buoyant enough to get you on top.
You know what I thought this was when you were drawing it?
What?
A boogie board. I thought you were going to put a boogie board on the bottom.
Basically, that's what I'm thinking. A boogie board that's made to fit that, and just an upward angle so you can hit it. You know?
You could even put like little thingies on the little
That's
paddles
exactly what I'm talking about.
thing.
Yeah, so if you just have these little ridges like a mud tire would, that would push you across the top.
Yeah.
Now the real question is balance. But you would have 4 corners of flotation. The one part is, I mean, it wouldn't be as stable because it's not thin. Because you can't have it thin.
Right.
Unless, like a sailboat, you remember when you went sailing? The jib? Throw a jib in there.
Would you?
Easy.
All right, so this would just be something that attaches to like the motor mount, and then you use a belt to connect it to the motor pulley or something along that line. And it's just a propeller that would have some kind of axis control that would also need its own independent. If it's going to steer with the Voyager, it would also need its own like independent control system.
So would you have to take the wheels off to put that on?
Probably. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
Okay.
more than likely.
As far as like installation and having it ready, I'm imagining we have some sort of super durable, strong material that doesn't need to be thick. And how I'm imagining it would work is it would basically be a second deck underneath your board. It would help protect your enclosure. And you would just have a little bit of extra space coming out the front. And I wouldn't say this is something you'd normally ride with, just when you're doing some crazy trail riding and have to cross bodies of water, assuming the same with yours.
Did ChatGPT write this prompt?
No. I do some actual work.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
I was proud of it. I have my own idea too, honestly. And I think it's gonna
Really?
be very
You got your own idea?
I got my own idea for it.
Really?
Those BKB ATs?
Oh yeah, these are.
Okay, nice.
I'll edit in a QR code for them right here. We'll get some trackers. Board. This is your battery.
Right,
Okay.
right.
This would be your motors back here. This is gonna be a compressor. Some nice little inflation bags here. And then the compressor's got a nice little line. And then you inflate the bags and you go. So it's kind of like yours, but it just has bags
Neat.
instead of a board.
That's neat. So it's basically like a little airbag
Yeah.
for the bottom of the board.
You
to
guys seen
make it
Florida
light.
Man on Netflix?
Yeah.
It's directly inspired by that.
Okay. Mine's the most cost efficient, I'd say, out of
With
all
wheels. Yeah. This might be like $40, if I were to guess.
of them. Retail, maybe. Like you could probably make it for less than $40.
Right.
So I feel like this is definitely the most cost efficient model. It's literally just lightweight hardwood or some sort of foam.
How would you attach yours?
It'd probably go around the trucks.
So that's what I was thinking. An opening
some
within,
kind of-
and then when you mount the trucks, you kind of put it through.
Yeah. So why don't we put like $40 here? So then the pros are super easy installation.
So you don't have to take them off after you're done.
There's no other mechanical parts to break.
Not removable. I guess that'd be a pro and a con. Pro because it's always on there, you don't have to worry about it. It's not something you have to change.
Yeah.
Con because it's always
It's
on
always on. I would say the cons for this, I think it'd be really hard to steer, and you have to balance on it.
there. Yeah, balance for sure. Less clearance when you're riding. Obviously, you're going to be off-road, so you're going to lose like probably half your clearance.
I'd say looks too, because if you're like riding around on a skateboard that's on top of a boogie board that also
Right.
has wheels, I think
Right.
it'd look really funky. So for this, the cost would be quite high. So you would have to have some kind of mount for the propeller. You'd have to buy the propeller.
Right. You
Then-
have to make the propeller belt driven.
Yeah, you'd have to drive the propeller. And then if you want to actuate it with the Voyager, you would need some kind of motion control system. So if I were to guess, this is anywhere from like $400 to $500 if I were to put
To buy or to make?
to buy for the
Okay.
for the customer.
Okay,
For,
gotcha.
To buy it for the customer. So the pros for this is you can steer. You're going underwater, so it's easy to use. You're being towed.
Stability.
Stability.
Stability. I think stability is good.
Steering. A con is it's a lot of extra mechanical parts that could break.
I'd say a con is just that you have to switch something.
Right. Yeah.
It requires an installation.
I think this would also be fast because this you're on top of the water and you're like there's a lot of
Right.
resistance.
Right.
So I think the speed is good here.
I think a con might be safety. Having a spinning propeller near your feet
If the propeller's out the back and you're holding onto it with the truck.
may not be
I didn't think that one through.
may not be fun.
We include a rope and then the person's back here.
It's like one of those sea-doo things that just kind of pull you around the water.
Yeah. That way your head does not get shot.
Yeah, I didn't
Or your arm.
even think about that, and then I was like,
Yeah.
that might be a thing. I think a pro with this is that you can cross more than a small body of water. Yours is pretty universal. You could put that on any board as long as it's waterproof, and in theory it would work.
Cool. I also think like if you showed up, like if say we're like going to like
Meeting up at a
an
place.
island. No, if we're going to an island
Oh.
and there's like a beach with like with a bar, we're rolling up to the bar at the beach. Okay.
Whoa.
And we roll up on this. We cross the water. We're standing on it. People would be like, "What's that?" You know.
Definitely.
And then you'd like ride out of the water and be like, you get some looks because like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a boogie board beneath the skateboard.
Right. When he just kind of
Yeah.
raises out of the water.
And then, so like that's
Yeah, this is Batman.
yeah.
This is Caillou.
So, do you think there's a market for both, or do you think there's a market for one, or not a market for one?
Of course.
I think there's a market
There's
for
definitely a
both.
market.
Now, can we talk about yours too?
If you want to
I kind of want to talk about yours.
go into it,
So, cost. This is the most expensive one.
Yeah, for sure.
This is definitely the most expensive one.
Yeah.
I mean, an airbag alone is expensive as hell. What? You don't believe? You don't believe it's the most expensive?
I toss a $40 car tire inflator on the board,
Okay.
get some bags made out of an inflatable material, but I don't know how much the bags would cost.
I would say probably like $200. It's definitely in between.
I feel like it depends how fast.
Definitely.
Be able
Definitely.
to
If it's
go.
like an airbag with, that's expensive. But if it's just like a slow inflation,
It'd be like an air mattress. You're like inflating an air.
if we're doing an air mattress style, let's assume air mattress inflatable capabilities.
Yeah.
Call it about $200.
We'll call it $200.
And then pros for this, you don't need to put anything on or off.
I'd say cons is there's like a lot of stuff on here. Like you have an inflator,
Yeah.
you have lines, you
Makes it
have
a bit
bags.
heavier. Another thing I'd say though is that yours is the only one that you could activate from your remote. Well, I guess you wouldn't have to activate mine, but yours is the only one that you can actually like input and make the change. That's like
something you really want to pay attention to when you're making something is like integrating into its surroundings.
I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna give this a star because it's badass.
Okay.
Even if it's more expensive, like relative to the board, this might be a third or a fourth or a third of the cost. I think that's reasonable for the capability that you're getting. You're going from land to water, so if you're paying a third of the cost to get the capability to go from land to water, I don't think it's unreasonable.
Fair.
That'd be mine.
Something I mean, we didn't even talk about is like you could just attach like a little like milk crate to that and like deliver someone food on a boat or something like
There
that.
you go. There you go.
Used for like Uber Eats to yachts.
There you go.
That's pretty cool. I'm gonna be a little biased here. I'm gonna put a little check mark right next to mine. I'll do a star as well just to be fancy. The reason I think mine is I don't even say better option, is the option I would choose, is because of two reasons. Number one, you don't need to change anything when you're going through the process of crossing a body of water. You just go and do it. Number two, I sort of see it as something you could use outside of just the board. Let's say you don't have it on your board and you just have it detached. You can still go to the beach and play with it. You know, give it to your kid. Let them have fun on a wave or two.
I could picture that one being sold like at beaches, like in beach shops and stuff. I personally would buy yours.
Really?
Right? But here's the reason. I think both of them have strayed a bit from being longboards at this point.
Definitely.
So I think that anybody that wants to cross the water would consider it a luxury thing and would buy that. I think people that buy yours would buy it as an accessory, and that would be pretty few people. I think few people would deal with those cons to be able to go over water. However, more people would buy yours as a special built board just for going over.
I would say that Jared's, if we sold these boards as is, not accessories, just this is exactly how they came, I think Jared would sell that.
Yeah, and I think that yours transforms it a bit, so it takes like too much away from a normal longboard. You know what I mean?
Fair.
To the point where it might be less.
Fair, except, to be fair, I'm the only one that can still roll.
It was a great battle. It was a great battle.
We hope you enjoyed watching the brainstorming process. We can't wait to share actual products coming soon from BKB.
Stay tuned for more updates and let us know in the comments below if you have any tips for productive brainstorming. Thanks for watching.
Ready?